Bobby.
Go.
Namaste. Namaste is a traditional yoga greeting between teacher and students, and the translation means that the light or the divine in me sees or acknowledges the divine in you. So namaste.
Namaste.
I am a little bit nervous because I'm not used to teaching or talking in this kind of context. I'm usually standing in my bare feet, in my yoga clothes, and everyone is lying on the floor in what we call corpse pose. And then, you know, so instead of picturing you in your underwear tonight, I'm going to picture you as corpses. So, I appreciate the opportunity to come here and speak with you tonight about how yoga, the practice of yoga, could benefit you, because I know that it changed my life when I was tricked into going to my first yoga class. So a little bit about my credentials. I completed a 200-hour yoga teacher training course in Miami Beach, Florida, where I was living at the time, in 2002. And shortly thereafter, I moved up to Syracuse. My whole life changed. Like I said, I never expected any of this to happen. If you would have told me that I would be living back here, I would have said no way. But Spirit moved me to come up here and start teaching yoga. Taught for about 4 or 5 years a certain type of yoga called Ashtanga, or power yoga, which is kind of gymnastic-like. And I realized that people living around here needed something more on the therapeutic level, rather than this kind of sporty gymnastic type of yoga, which is very effective, but it's not for everyone. So using my airline benefits, I flew out to Los Angeles every weekend for a year and took a course at Loyola Marymount University and completed a yoga therapy. So now I work with people more one-on-one than in group. We do have group classes, but yoga really was never meant to be taught in a group, because people are so different. They have different issues with their bodies, their emotional bodies, and their physical bodies as well. So it's definitely more effective when you're working one-on-one, just like physical therapy. People enjoy the group classes, though, so there's always going to be that. Yoga has become very westernized, so now we focus more here in America on the physical postures of yoga. But not to digress, but before I go any further, I just want to say that I know that I'm supposed to be here tonight talking to you about yoga, because Ellen, you don't know this, and neither does my mother, but I ran across a book on Padre Pio about 7 months ago and read the story of his life and was really moved by it and asked him to intercede for me and to help me. And in the book was this little pamphlet that actually touched his clothing or something. I don't know. There's, it's supposed to be a special prayer on here. And I've been carrying it around with me in my, I call it my condominium, my purse, my flight bag, where I take it everywhere. And he's been with me for 7 months. So when I walked in here, I saw his picture on the table. I'm like,
There's no coincidence.
There are no, there's synchronicities, and when you encounter a synchronicity like that, you know you're in the right place at the right time, and you are doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. I did come to, or I attended Holy Family School when I was a child. You know, I was a member of the church here, grew up here. So it's nice to be back. Okay, so going back to the yoga, is anyone taken a yoga class here in the room before? Okay. Yes? Okay, so I hear a lot of different things, like, oh, I took a yoga class once and I thought it was boring, or, you know, I'm just not flexible enough, or I couldn't do this, or I couldn't do that. And the thing about yoga is that you don't have to be any of that. It's not really about that. We make it so much about the body, but yoga is about the mind. It is about your connection to a higher power, to your causal self, which is your connection to God. And it's about reaching whoever your God is. For us, because we're Catholic, it's Jesus, it's the Lord. Reaching that level through meditation. So the difference between praying and meditating is that in praying, you are talking to God, right? We pray. Prayer, sometimes we pray in the wrong way, like we ask for things, right? Give me, like he's a giant slot machine in the sky. Give me this, give me that. But prayer should be gratitude, thankfulness, gratitude. Gratitude has the same vibration as love. So that's what prayer is, talking to God. Meditation is listening to God. That is the difference. So if there was any confusion about that. So it takes a lot of self-discipline to meditate. That's the hardest part, to actually sit still for that length of time, whether it be 5 minutes, ideally 20 minutes, every single day to meditate. That's the hardest part. So the practices of yoga are meant, the physical postures were meant to take away the aches and pains of your physical body so that you could sit for long periods of time to meditate. Get it? Okay. So people have a misconception. They think that yoga is twisting yourself in a pretzel and this and that. And that can be. That brings many benefits too. You will encounter weight loss because you will sweat. You feel good when you stretch. There's a lot of heat that builds up in the spine during the physical practice because your body detoxifies. That's the difference between most physical exercises and yoga, is that we build a lot of heat in the spine, so you have to like to sweat. Okay. A yoga class can be any, like I said, 20 minutes to meditate, or an hour and a half if you're doing the physical postures. But ideally, it's a daily self-discipline practice. You're doing it for the rest of your life, just like you talked earlier, Ellen, about this being, it's something that you're going to do. And it doesn't mean that it will change your life, trust me, I know from experience, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to encounter problems and emotional upheaval. You're just going to be able to maybe maintain a sense of equanimity and balance in your life, in your daily life. The word yoga means to yoke or to join, to come together, a yoking. So we're joining, it's a trinity, actually. The physical self, the flesh, bones, blood, all that. The emotional body, so the physical, the emotional, or the energetic body, and the causal body, which is your connection to spirit. So those three components. To have perfect mental and physical health, you have to recognize those three components. And I think modern day medicine is beginning to recognize that first, disease stems from the emotional body. Stress is definitely the emotional body, and that's responsible for, what do they say, 90% of all illness? Because through that stress, then we tend to go to our addictions, right? Whether it's food, whether it's alcohol, anger, shopping, how many pairs of black shoes do you need, kind of thing. It can be anything. It can be anything. So that's what yoga means. It's the recognition of those three. This is kind of where Buddhism and the true philosophy of yoga split paths. Because just like Buddhism, yoga is a philosophy, not a religion. Splits paths because Buddhism does not recognize a higher power. In the true form of yoga, we do. We definitely do. There was a news release on, I think it was Yahoo, like 3 days ago. I don't know if anybody saw it, but a Southern Baptist minister came out and said that Christians should be careful about practicing yoga because it conflicts with Christianity. And trust me, that is based on fear. That is not true. I know it because it actually, my faith and my religion actually became stronger.
Okay. Beautiful.